Behind me here is the very first example of the all-new Saxdor 400. Now this is a boat we've been waiting to see for quite a while. It's the flagship of the brand. Now they are a Finnish brand, they're built in Poland. This is the fourth model. They've got the 20, they've got the 270 and the 320, and now this is their flagship model. Now they are extremely good value for money. They build them in Poland, so they come out very well priced. This particular model starts at 222,000 euros ex VAT. That is with the twin 300 Mercury outboards. This one, as you can see, is fitted with twin 400 horsepower V10s. Now it is, as I said, the very first hull out of the factory. They are still making a few tweaks here and there and sea trialing it, but they've already had speeds of up to 46 knots on this particular boat, and they're fully expecting to get 50 knots once it's up and running in full production mode. Now, there's a lot of people on board the boat, so we'll have to try and work our way around it, but one of the key features are these drop-down terraces. You can see there is one each side, and they open up, expanding the side of the boat very significantly. And we'll take a little bit of a closer look at that in a minute, because they actually have glass panels set into them. So where that chap is walking right now, there's a glass panel so that you can see the water through them. Let's start by having a little look at the stern here. You can see we've got little platform extensions either side of the engines. So you've got little running lights there too. They will light up when the engines are running, so that anybody swimming around the boat is aware when the engines are running. We've got storage either side, pretty small. I'm not quite sure what you'd fit in there, but you've got a little something there. Now we've got the glass transom, always looks good because it looks stylish with that stainless steel surround, but also it gives you a view out through the back. Everybody likes to see the wake streaming out behind their boat. Over on this side, we've got the shore power. So you can see plug in there. Looks like it needs a little cutout for the cables. Cleats on the back too. And up at this level here, always good to see multiple options. And then some storage either side. Well, actually, on this side, it is just a storage locker for fenders and lines and so on. We've got twin gates on both sides. Again, always good to see. So if you shut those up, I'm not sure I can do that. Well, there we go, lift it up one-handed. So you can have a really nice, secure transom area. And then over on this side, if we lift this up, you can see there's actually a grill. And this isn't the wet bar, this is like an addition to the wet bar. The main one is forward, but rather a good idea if you do want to actually barbecue something, have it right at the back of the boat so that the wind takes any smells away, and you have got a little sink there too. And there is a shower, transom shower, hose down, whether that's the boat or if you've been for a bit of a dip in the sea, sometimes quite nice to hose the salt off you. Now here we can have a little bit of a closer look at those side platforms. Now you can see they are quite simple. We have got a gas strut ram, we've got a rope that lowers it down, and they are all controlled. They are electric, but they're also really solid and secure. So I can happily stand on this, jump up and down. There's really very little flex. And this is the glass panel. You can see, don't really get the best effect here at a show, but you can see that on a beautiful sunny day, you would be able to see the water underneath that. It's still quite busy on board, but hopefully we'll get a bit of a chance to have a look around. There's a couple of lockers down here, just handy for sort of cleaning gear and so on. And under here too. Just more storage. Can't really have too much on a boat like this. And then this is the sun pad area. This has a bit of a trick up its sleeve too. At the moment, this is in the kind of compact mode. We've got all the cushions beautifully arranged, and that is more a kind of sitting bench. You can see at the moment it's not quite full length. Your legs hang over, but so at the moment it's in seat mode. The other thing to notice, if you lift up this cushion here, you can see there is a hatch down there, and that just lets light down into the aft cabin, which we'll take a closer look at in a minute. But the other thing about this is it's actually rather clever. If you push this button here, I don't know if I can do this one-handed, but the whole thing slides back like that. And then if I push this button here, maybe Are you able to reach across and do that?
Yeah.
By pushing that, there you go. Okay. And then that cushion folds flat, and now you've suddenly got a full-length sunbed at the stern. So that is long enough for me to lie out, full stretch. You can still walk around the foot of the bed. You can still move around, but it's just a rather clever solution for having a full-length sunbed, but not occupying all this cockpit space when you don't need it in sunpad mode. Now let's come around this way first, I think. Now the other thing about these side platforms, these seats here have fold-down backrests, so this is quite a good example. You can see when it's folded out like this, it enables you to sit facing out on this little bench here. So as well as actually creating more space, you have got a nice little seating area facing out over the boat. But when you don't want to, or when you haven't got the platforms down, there's a little button here that I can push, and then that backrest flips up. And then you've got a very cozy little corner seat, nice and secure with a backrest. Again, you can just hang out in that spot there, very nice and secure. Now, whilst we're here, we might just have a quick look in the stern cabin. This is the very first boat, so got a little bit of demonstrating to do. We need a few spare hands, but if I lift that up, you can see that our steps down into the aft cabin. Okay. If we just make our way down there, have a little pier, you can see there's quite a good size double bed down there. And what is good to see is that because you've got these, well, they're basically almost floor level windows, but you've got lots of natural light coming in through those three windows. You've got that escape hatch overhead. You can take the cushion off, get yet more light in here. We have got air conditioning vents. I can feel those blowing away, so you can keep it nice and cool. You've also got opening hatches so that you can actually get some natural airflow in here too. So it's pretty compact. You have got a bit of storage along the bed, but actually perfectly comfortable for overnights or weekends away. That's a really good little separate cabin in the stern here. Just make the way back up through here. Going to have to work our way around. Obviously a lot of people keen to see this boat at the show. Now this is another really interesting feature we've got here. As you can see at the moment, the seat is set in running mode. It's facing forward. It's also slightly elevated, but it's all controlled by buttons over here by the rear wet bar, which we'll have a look at in a minute. But as well as facing forward, maybe my friend here can very neatly demonstrate. If you press that button, that whole seat swings forward and down, all electrically on this little button here. And then the backrest swings over. And now you have a really comfortable seating arrangement. So now you get an idea. We've got a really nice square of seating around the table. We've got a seat here, we've got a stern seat here, we've got a table here. Shall we open up the table? Look at that. So now you've got a lovely square seating area, you've got a big table, you can sit down there, have your picnic, get everything out, and it's a really sociable arrangement. So I like the fact that you can sit forward when you're running along at speed, and when you're doing 46 knots or so, then you are going to want to face forward. And then this bench here, exactly like the one I showed you, that folds out so that you can sit looking out over that side too. In fact, I might just give you a little idea of what that looks like, because we can get a better effect of that on this side because we're not quite so close to the boat next door. If I push this button down here, push that in, that folds down, and then you've got a lovely bench facing out here. And there you can get a slightly better idea of what a nice spot that is, a little bit more room. You can sit down on this bench, look out, and really enjoy the view. So very versatile area. You can see that's how it just swings up in there, and there's a little latch there that locks into place, and that holds that nice and secure when you are in the upright mode and running along at speed. So come over here, we can have a look at the wet bar. So this is the main wet bar facility. We've got a built-in fridge here. That is standard, that's all part of the standard package. There's opening drawers for cutlery, crockery, etc. Plenty of storage space. And then this lifts up. And here is, just make sure I'm not going to knock anybody's sunglasses over. So you can see you've also got the induction hob here. So as well as the grill at the back, we've got the induction hob here. We've got a sink under that cover there. There is going to be a little heat shield there to prevent any cooking or anything spoiling that. But really nice, smooth finish on that too. Tap obviously folds back down in there. Now, on this boat, we've got the option of a second fridge too. That is under the Helm seats. So plenty of storage, cold storage on board. Now this is the main Helm section. I quite like the way they've done this. They've split it into two separate seats. You've got the main single driver's Helm seat and then a secondary navigator's bench where you can fit two people. So you've got that bench there, you've got a second row of forward-facing seats there, and you've got a final forward-facing row there. So you get three forward-facing rows of seats. Now the Helm position, we've got triple screens in front of us. I think a standard you only get one big one and this small screen here which controls all the main ship systems, but obviously you can spec it up and have additional ones. We've got the standard Mercury throttles nice and close to the seating position, so they well behind the steering wheel, exactly the right sort of position that they need to be for your hand to sit on. We've got the joystick control for those twin outboard engines, so you can berth it very nice and simply. And now, one of the other tricks that I completely forgot to show you is these side sections here. Obviously those fold up, but also rather cleverly, hiding behind or inside these pillars are what we call the isinglass screens. So they're see-through screens. They slide across very simply all the way across, join up with that pillar there. There's an infill for the screen and you can effectively have a fully enclosed boat. But very neat that they all stow in these side panels. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do it terribly neatly one-handed. Oh, almost. Not quite. There we go. Go on. I can't quite do it one-handed. That's it. So they all tuck neatly away in there, close up, job done. So you've effectively got a kind of convertible boat. This glass section here, this is also an option, and it's effectively a glass bulkhead with a huge opening window section on it. So again, if we just ask this chap very kindly to swing it down, so you can see that closes up there, and then over here we've got bifold doors. They close up too, and now you can really see how once you've got those closed up, you've pulled those screens all the way across, you've effectively got a fully enclosed cockpit area. So really clever to have that kind of convertibility. You've got fully open when you want it, but equally you can enclose it, make it a weatherproof cockpit area when you need to. And then the final part of that is the roof. We've got an opening sunroof. I don't know if we might be able to press that button there. There you go. See the roof opening up ahead. So that really is kind of a super versatile cockpit area. You can have it as open. Oh, I've taken my finger off, it's still going. So it's a one-touch, but it looks like there's a second area. Does that open too, that section?
Not at this point.
No, okay, so that's where the roof all stows away, but you've got a really good size opening overhead. And the fun continues forward too, because also we've got another door here. You can see that opens up. It's on a gas strut, so I can do that very easily one-handed. That shuts away in there. And there is a door section here. Again, it's all just a manual door, opens and closes. So again, all helps to keep it completely weatherproof and secure, but also very nice, easy access out onto this foredeck area. Now, neat little seating area here. Again, at the moment it's set up in kind of sociable dining mode. We've got a table there. There's a little support, pull that out first. So a second little dining area up here, lovely spot to sit and have drinks of an evening if there's just 3 or 4 of you. But also that drops down manually. You can see the clamps on this. Again, I won't really be able to do this one-handed, but it's very easy to see how that drops down to the level of these cushions. You then have an infill cushion and you've got a second sunbathing area up here. So lots of options, lots of versatility. Anchor locker in here. Oh, I've just locked that rather than open it. There we go. You can see a through hull anchor system. One of these quite complex sprung ones. So you can see how that whole thing hinges out, carries the anchor further out and makes sure that when it drops, it's well clear of that bow. So you can see the anchor tucks very neatly onto the bow area there, but pops out and then drops down nice and clear of the bow. As always, we've got these little grab rails inside, so probably easier to see on this one. Really helpful, gives you something to hang on to when you're moving around the boat, but also gives you somewhere to tie the fenders onto. Lots of glass screens all the way around here, and we'll see why that is in a minute when we go down and have a look at the cabin. So let's drop down and see that now. Steps down, offset either side, means you can have a slightly steeper drop without using too much floor space, but you've got to start with the left foot, then the right, then the left, and then you're down into the cabin area. Now the main section is open plan. We've got the bed forward, right tucked into the bow. Now this whole section here is in fact a hatch that will swing up. You can open that up from the bow area if you want to drop your bags down. There's also an escape hatch there if you want to, or if you need to get out without going back through the yacht, or indeed just to give a bit of airflow if you're sleeping here at night. Now it is a little bit pinched down that end, that's where you tuck your feet. Obviously not so much clearance there either, but decent headroom at this end of the bed. You can see I can easily sit here. It's only behind me that it starts to drop down in height. Neat little seat over on this side, somewhere to sit and put your socks and shoes on. Storage cupboard on that side, and this is where all those overhead skylights come into play. Really nice to have lots of natural light down here. It's also air conditioned, so you can keep it nice and cool. Bit of storage in here, access to all the electric panels, switches, all the fuses. You can keep an eye on everything there. And then separate heads compartment. Quite cleverly, it is a sort of curved section door there. Gives you a slightly bigger opening. And the one thing I did notice about here is there isn't any natural light in here, but there's lots of good artificial lighting, so it's nice and bright and really good air conditioning too. It is a wet room rather than a separate shower compartment. You can see there's the shower that you just pull off the wall up there. Loo clearly under this folding seat here. And a bit of storage. Just about full, not quite full standing headroom. I have to crouch a little bit, but decent enough space for a weekender style sports boat. And then there's one more little secret hiding under the cockpit itself. These whole steps, see there's lots of hinges along here, and that's because you can swing that whole thing up like that. And hiding under here is a tiny little extra berth. Now, they very much say it is very much only a kid's berth, and it's really not a huge amount of space in there, but it does mean that if you are a couple with a young child, you could happily all sleep in this cabin, or you just use it for storage, and I suspect that's what most people will end up using. It's a great place to chuck your bags. You could even get kind of probably folding bikes or SUPs in there if you wanted to, or just chuck a bit of extra storage, but really handy to have. A couple of extra things to show at the helm whilst we're here. You can see we've got a flip-up footrest there. You can adjust that so that it's fully horizontal or various different angles. Seats slide forward and backwards too, so you've got a bit of adjustability, and of course you've got these bolster cushions too. Plant myself on the corner here. That is the all-new Saxdor 400. Some really interesting ideas going on here, particularly the way they've sort of played with the indoor-outdoor feeling of that main cockpit area, and of course those folding platforms and those 3 rows of forward-facing seats. But most of all, I think it's going to be the price that is likely to appeal, because even that base price of 222,000 with the twin 300 engines, you probably will still get 40 knots out of that. You get an awful lot of boat and actually quite a decent spec level. We've run through one or two of the things and you pretty much could drive away that boat at that price and not feel like you were being hard done by. Again, really interesting ideas. Do please let me know what you make of the boat. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching.